right, y'all. Told you we were coming back at 6. I'm going to invite Tanel in about a minute or so. Let's go ahead and bring her in. Hey, Markeisha Rose. Rose Beauty Bar is in the building. Yes, you're first. This woman, y'all. Markeisha Rose. People be like, I know people, but do you know a Markeisha? Do you have a Markeisha? That's what I want to know. That's my girl. Markeisha has a new podcast that is amazing, and I have been keeping up with it, so I'm excited to Nell to join. Hey, I'm good, y'all. Thank y'all for being here. Hi, Tanel. There she is.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you good.
Good, good. Oops.
Awesome. Hey, Jamal. Hey. Okay, everybody's coming in. Thank you guys for
Yep.
being here. Thank you so much. Someone from middle school. Thank you. That means a lot. I've been trying to be acting for a long time. So thank you. If you knew me from middle school, theater days. Shout out to you. I'm here with Tanel Dickens today, founder, creator of One Woman Movement, incredible woman in ministry. And I think that, we're diving into this 4-part series, breaking up with fear, toxic relationship. I'm gonna let Snell introduce herself, and then we can just kind of get into it, still letting people kind of come in a bit.
All right, all right. So everybody, first of all, great, glad to be on here. Thank you so much for letting me be on your platform, Danielle. I appreciate the invite to it. And for those that are on here, thank you so much for just being on, to be able to be on live, right? To take part in this. I am Tanel Dickens. I'm a minister. I'm a prophet. I think I wear many hats. I'm a mom, but I'm the founder of One Woman Movement. And one of our goals is to really help women overcome hindrances to their success so they can launch, right? I believe in God's destiny and purpose for the life of each woman and each individual, so one of my main goals, especially with One Woman Movement, is to help women launch and to really walk out destiny.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yes, you guys, I am just enamored by Tanel. Tanel is someone who has helped me to just it's like the perspective in which you see life and you see your faith. It's so many things have shifted for me in so many of these conversations. So that's why we wanted to, bring it. And I'm honored. I'm happy, that you're happy to have me having
Mhm.
you on my platform. But I'm truly honored that you're here. Really, 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 because I know it takes the work. You've got to do the work to
Yeah.
get to where God is trying to get you. So I'm
Yeah.
awesome and excited about the work that you're doing. It's awesome.
Yeah, well, great. Yeah, but I'm excited about this 4-part series on you just breaking up with fear. I think that's, it's really something that I would say, especially in the current climate, it's so important for us to really take a look at kind of where our fear registers are at, right? I
Yeah.
think a lot of people are dealing with a lot of fear right now. There's so much uncertainty that's going on. People are thinking about just what's happening with government politically, what's happening, you have things going on with race, with the race
Yeah.
wars, and you have uncertainty when it comes to there's the economic climate. Globally, there's so much happening that fear is a big topic, and a lot of people are feeling it, but sometimes we're not talking about it. And it's really
Yes.
important for us to talk about fear, because in the midst of it, we still have a big God. So in the midst of what's happening, we definitely have a God who's still concerned about our purpose and destiny, and we really need to be taking a look at that as well, even as we process through our fears, and really as we take a look at what's happening around.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. Because even just, we're like, God didn't give me a spirit of fear. And it's like, but wait, and I think we get so, for me, we've talked, and it's like, I got so comfortable with things like shame and guilt and fear that they didn't wear that hat to me anymore. Fear, that's my homegirl. What do you mean? Like shame, that's my cousin. Like, that's my aunt. And so I think that when you even start using the right language and just trying, and just taking it further, it makes a difference for me. Because when you've been dealing with fear for a long time, someone may even say to you, like, well, wait, I think you were making that decision out of fear. And they're like, what? Fear? Not me. They can't even see it because it's become so natural, so normal to them.
Yeah, especially when fear, I think fear can look like wisdom. It's based on kind of like what your relationship with fear is. Like we're talking about
Yeah.
breaking up with fear, based on what your relationship is with fear, it can look like a couple different things to you, right? Especially fear. The Bible says that God didn't give us a spirit of fear, but he gave us power, He gave us love, and he gave us a sound mind. And there are times where we're functioning in either love or fear. Most times, if we function in love, you know how love looks, right? When you are
Mhm.
functioning in love and you're just flourishing and abundant when it comes to, whether it is your career or your business and or your relationships, when there's a love factor and there's a multiplication aspect of that, and that really helps us to abound. Even in our creativity, it really helps us to
Yeah.
abound. But whenever we begin to function in fear, one of the things that you can see is that fear causes us to shut down. Our creativity shuts down. Our faith factor shuts down. So when it comes to functioning in a fear, like I said, the Bible said he didn't give us a spirit of fear. He gave us love, power, and a sound mind. Fear affects our mind, and how we process things, how we see things. So unless we really are able to put a microscope on our actions and just kind of take a look at what our natural or automatic programming is and what we've really been, our set point has been, because of how we grew up, because of, where we grew up, because of our culture, because of, just even the external influences that we've had, if we don't take a look at it, then we don't really, we don't always recognize that that is fair until somebody on the outside is able to say, hey, you might want to take a second look at that,
Yeah.
because sometimes again fear manifests as wisdom. We'll think, well, wait a minute, I'm just being wise, i'm
Yeah.
just I'm just not trying to be silly here. I'm just trying to make the right decision, and
Yeah.
that can look like that. But think about it. There are times where if we really stop to think about it, we recognize, wait a minute, did I even examine to see what it would look like if
Yeah.
I made that decision, if I really stepped out in that way, right? I have
Mhm.
had this dream for this long. Did I even take a look at what it would look like to, what I'm saying, to believe for this, or
Yeah.
to put myself out there in that way and network in this way or connect in that way, or to use
Yeah.
that skill set that I've buried for all these years? What would it look like? Sometimes we stop, and in fear we say it's wisdom for us to not push forward, but there are times where we are limiting our own selves. There are times where, and that's everybody, that's all of us right here, right? All of you there in social media land, and us, it's just like there are times where we really have to take a critical look at what's the quality of our decisions to know, wait a minute, I've been waiting on this thing for 5 years, 10 years, 15
Yeah.
years, even if it's 1 week, right? But am I going to take advantage of the time? Am I going to step out and really do that thing? Am I going to believe that I can really do the thing that I know I've been trained to do? Or am I just going to not do it at all and let time pass by and say I'm operating in wisdom?
Yeah. Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, or even generational stuff. It's what my grandma did. It's what my
Yeah.
mama, it's like I'm being wise. This is what my grandma said to do.
Yeah.
And just thinking about what you're saying, how do you think, well, what is it that fear does with your emotions, or how do fear and your emotions play,
Mhm.
play together?
Yeah, and I think that there's rational fear and there's irrational fear. Like if you see a bear and you're in the forest, I mean, I wouldn't advise you to run, but you definitely need to figure out, how do I be still? Like you're gonna feel some fear, because that's the kind of fear that says, listen, this is a threat. This is a direct threat in your environment. That makes sense. But then there are times there's irrational fears,
Mhm.
and with some irrational fears, there are times where we are afraid of something and it's really in our mind. We are more, it's like we're estimating what could possibly happen, and our survival mechanisms kick in, and you find now we are anticipating something that may never even happen,
Yeah.
right? We're anticipating. So our mind is creating all these different conclusions and pathways that's trying to keep us safe. So we're locked into that, and we don't even know if that will really happen or not. But we begin creating all these contingency plans just in case that
Yeah.
happens, and just in case that person's not trustworthy, and just in case, I get let down at that job, and just in case, all the, I try and this doesn't work out, or whatever it is, all these things begin to happen, but we never, sometimes we just have to stop and say, well, what if it does happen? What if I actually succeed at that job?
Yeah.
And what if I don't? What if
Yeah.
I don't succeed? Like, so
Yeah.
sometimes you have to take a step further. If I don't succeed, is there another opportunity? What am I going to learn from this? It's our perspective. And I think our thoughts affect our emotions. So I think within fear, it's understanding that based on what you think about your thoughts, when you think about it, it's going to create that emotional response. And you have some of
Mhm.
that, it runs together. You have a feeling and it
Mhm.
creates a thought, or a thought and
Yeah.
it creates a feeling, and then before you know it, you're acting in certain ways that are in alignment with your belief system, right? When you grow up in certain cultures, like in the Caribbean, I'm from Trinidad, right? So they'll tell you, don't come in late at nighttime, because if you come in late, they say jumpy, which is like a ghost, right? It's gonna follow you in. So you got to turn around and walk in backward. Can you imagine coming in at 1 o'clock in the morning? You're thinking, I do not want to. You're like, Jesus, you're praying against everything, and that's probably nothing there. They probably wanted you to just not be, not break curfew, right? Or
Yeah.
not show up late coming home, want you to come home early. But if that's a cultural programming, every time you come in late, you're going to think about that.
Yeah.
Well, think about the ways we've been programmed. You find our mothers, our fathers, our grandmas, our grandfathers, they've survived through so much. They've gone through so much. They've worked through so much. And now this generation has a lot of tools to deal with things, right?
Mhm.
So we are in a generation, we have a plethora of tools to be able to work through certain things emotionally, mentally, So they didn't have that. So they did what they had to do. So some of the survival mechanisms that they chose, or the ways they chose to survive, we don't necessarily have to choose to survive in those ways. But nevertheless, if we don't stop to think about that, we're fine where we're following patterns, and those patterns are to be broken and not to follow, need to be
Yeah.
followed. So when we speak about generational curses, I was telling someone, I said, okay, if I were a demonic spirit, right? If I wanted to cause an entire group of people to keep following what I wanted to do, right? To what I want them to do, and I don't want to be there. I just want to say, let me just set it in place and I want to walk away. I would set in thoughts in place that create certain like belief systems that establish it within a culture, and then I go on vacation because
Yeah.
it's already set up, right? Just
My
like in a
work is
business.
done.
Yeah, because businesses even have a culture, and the culture of the business, right? It sets the tone for what the real leadership is like, right? When you go in,
Yeah.
but they say when the boss is not there, that's when you see what the real company culture is. It's like that. So our patterns, when that's established, then we move forward in that. And if something doesn't come in, just like companies bring in coaches and companies, bring in consultants, sometimes they have to challenge the current status quo. They have to challenge the culture of the company a bit to really establish what the company culture actually should be,
Yeah.
right? So if we don't challenge our patterns and the way that we're thinking right now, especially those ways that we find it's not serving our purpose and destiny, it's not serving what God said our purpose and destinies, or what we believe those dreams are, that we just remain in the same place.
Yeah.
We keep making the same decisions, we keep in the same cycles, we keep seeing things the same way. And this is where like personal responsibility really comes in.
Yeah.
Like I said, this generation, we have a lot of tools, we have a lot of things. We got coaching, we got therapy, we got all kinds of stuff going we can go to. And if we take personal responsibility for our personal growth, for our mental health, for our personal development, then you find it's where we are able to sit still and really be self-aware
Yeah.
and say, wait a minute, what am I thinking? It's like thinking about what you're thinking.
Yeah.
What am
Yeah.
I thinking? Is this profitable in this moment, right? Is this profitable? And even if you say you're failing at something, still, is that thought profitable?
Yeah.
Am I able to see the gold even in the hardship?
Yeah.
Am I able to even make critical decisions? Because if I'm in survival in the hardship, maybe that hardship is pressing me onto something that's a breakthrough, but I can't see it because I'm curled up. I'm just trying to figure out, escape, escape, escape. How do I, but I'm not trying to figure
Mhm.
out, okay, listen to me, this is not going to break me. I feel like
Yeah.
it is. My emotions are
Yeah.
alarming, but I'm not in like imminent danger right now. I might feel like I'm going through something, and our feelings are legitimate. They really are legitimate. But when you stop to think about it, it's like, is that thought serving me in this moment? Is
Yeah.
it benefiting me? Is it causing me to see just the lessons that I can learn, or the improvements that I can make in the midst of this situation? Or am I just pretty much curled up and shut down in fear, and I can't see anything else but the fact that I just want to get out of here?
Yeah. Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
You
And
know?
I think what you said is so good because like fear can become like your comfort zone. Like even though what's on the other side is better, this is what's comfortable. And like that's when grace comes in.
Yeah.
Looking at even thinking about generational thoughts and curse, like it's like give yourself grace. This has been going on for 5 generations in your
Mm-hmm.
family and you're breaking it. So it's not gonna come overnight, but it can be just very uncomfortable. I think becoming is uncomfortable. I think success is, very, very uncomfortable. And I think being so aware, of our emotions is like, okay, because you just be real, like our brain wants to stay safe. Like,
Yeah.
it doesn't want to do the work. It doesn't want to have the uncomfortable conversation, and it's like breaking up with fear. Like, let's say, you're a mother who does everything for her family. You never do self-care. You never do anything for yourself. You never check in with yourself. Well, when you start scheduling self-care and it's like, oh, the kids need this, or it's like you feel you're like, man, forget this, because the guilt that comes with me trying to break up with fear is like, let's just get back together, you know. And that's
Yeah.
why I'm just grateful we kind of frame this like as a relationship, because I think it helps us to see something that we just, if we put it on somebody that we love or something that we love, and how we can just fall back, you know. Because if we just say like, oh, backsliding with fear, you know, like it's like getting real churchy. But I think
Yeah.
for me, just even, you know, being an actor, being someone who's always talking about my emotions, pushing myself to be vulnerable, when it comes to my real life, it's like a lot of things I figure I need to work through. It's the truth is, it would be far more comfortable. I would ruffle far more feathers if I just stayed the way I was. But like you said, is this profitable? Am I, you know, is, even if it's like I'm failing, but like, what is it teaching me? You know,
Yeah.
I was, God told me to go work for someone before that didn't even pay me, and I was so scared. Like, I'm like, why would you tell me to come here and don't ask about money? And they were like, oh, she did not ask about money. They were like, yes. Every day, someone would walk through those doors of that company and offer me money. The salary that I saw in my head, it would come together, but it was like, okay, you got to get 100 from over here and 50. But when I would look at, I'm like, I'm getting paid. But here, you know, my brain is like, I want this 2 week paycheck that says this from this place. And it's like stepping back out of your emotions too, and just letting God be who he is, because it's uncomfortable. It's just very uncomfortable being a person who, you know, we spoke before, and I'm like, when we came to the analogy, it was like, wow, like you're at times in your life where the enemy has you chained up, you know, when it's
Mhm.
like, no, like the power, you have the power, you know, sound mind in your tongue to chain him up, you know. So it was like that transition of power, because I think we really give fear the power, because like you said, it's
Yeah.
like, it's my emotions, it's genuinely scaring me. I'm genuinely
Mhm.
afraid, I'm shaking in my boots. That's not just a saying. Like there,
Mhm.
you can reach fear to a point where you're shaking, you know,
Yes.
and you think your body's response systems, and it's like, that is what I think is so important about not being so carnal, because that spirit man is like, hey, I'll cluck you over the head and drag you to the altar if that's how we got to do it. That's how you want to do it. We're gonna get there, you know. So I think it's
Yeah.
just being very, very real that it is not easy to break up with fear, and you have to constantly give yourself grace and remind
Yeah.
yourself of where you come from.
Yeah, exactly. You know, the thing about feelings, feelings feel they are real. But this is the thing. Even though your feelings are real, what it's projecting may not necessarily be.
Yeah.
You
Someone
know, it's
just
like
said I
feelings are
struggle.
more of a thermometer. Can you hear me?
Yes, I'm sorry. We had a comment, and someone I said I struggle with putting people first before myself. It make
Mhm.
like I'd be scared.
Yeah, yeah, I get you. Like I completely get you. Especially when you made that analogy about the kids. Listen, listen. I'm telling you. You know, it's just yeah, like I was saying. It's just you know, we feel our feelings feel real when you have the intensity of emotion. You cannot tell me that as a mom, you know, when you feel that mom guilt, it's real. It comes through. You're like, oh my, you want to cry. Like, oh my
Yes.
gosh.
Yes.
You know, it's not going to hurt them. They actually are okay. And taking that 1 hour, 2 hours, really, you're there with them all the time. But it's the guilt, it's the feeling. And the thing about it is that we have to separate. Sometimes you have to understand you might have feelings, but you are not your feelings. You
Yeah.
have feelings, but you're not your feeling. We are body, soul, spirit. You know, when you look at it, there's a scripture in the Bible that says, guard your heart, for out of it flows the issues of life. Guard your heart with all diligence, because out of it flows the issues of life. Well, when you look back through that in those ancient days, right? The word heart, really, they were speaking. They didn't have words for like liver and heart and certain organs. So the heart could also be substituted for your mind,
Mm.
right? So if I were to say guard your mind, right, or guard your soul, it's like the you know, your soul is like your mind, your will, and your emotions, right? So if I were talking about your heart, I'm talking probably about your mind, I'm talking about your will, I'm talking about your emotions. They spoke about the heart in all those contexts in the word of God. So guard your mind, guard your will, guard your emotions, because based on what's happening with them, it's going to flow into your life.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
that's what it's kind of is breaking down. So it's like we can put a guard concerning how we regulate our emotions and not just go downstream with it, because it can feel like we're in the rapids, right? We
Yeah.
are
Yeah.
on this little canoe and our emotions are sending us right on downstream going with the rapids, right? But the thing is, it's like when you know, wait a minute, I have emotions, but I can deal with my emotions. But what causes my emotions? Well, sometimes it's our philosophy and how we see a situation. You have 10 different people looking at the same situation, right? Remember one time we were talking, I was saying, you know what? A lady walks into a room and somebody says, "Oh, that's a really nice dress."
Yeah.
And she thinks, "Oh my goodness, well, thank you so much." It's like, wow, that she thinks my dress is nice, right? Here's what lady walks in. That lady walks in with a nice dress. Another person says, or maybe a different lady, right, walks in with a nice dress. They say, "Oh, I like your dress." And that lady thinks, you know what? These people in this office, they're just not truthful at all. Why they always try to? What does she want?
No.
Why is she thinking that? It has to do with how she views the situation, right? So I'm sure her emotional response will be based on what her philosophy is, right? What her philosophy is, what her view of that situation is, maybe what her past experiences in that space is, or whatever,
Mhm.
but the thing is, we have to recognize our emotions come from somewhere.
Yeah.
One lady, she meets this amazing man. He is so wonderful. He is doing all the good things, amazing, wonderful, mankind, opening doors, whatever. And that lady's like, he just, oh my gosh, this man is wonderful. She's great. Another lady meets that same man. Oh my gosh. And she just thinking, like, when is he gonna leave? He just playing nice. Like, something's gonna go wrong. But it's not has nothing to do with the man. It has to do with the fact that we went through something, right? The person
Yeah.
went through something. So their perspective on that situation, it's a little bit, it's just different because of what they've went through and what they've not worked through. So it's we can feel those emotions, we can have them real thoughts coming up. We're like, man,
Mhm.
check, this feels real, that person's not truthful, they're pretending, or they're lying about my dress, that
Yeah.
guy's just doing all that stuff because he wants something, and maybe the
Yeah.
guy's just like, I'm just trying to be honest, and you're like, yeah, sure. And
Yeah.
poor guy's just going through it, right? But the
Yeah.
thing is, it's where we're coming from, and it's our foundation. So that's every situation, no matter
Yeah.
what that situation is. It's sometimes we have to say, wait a minute, I've looked on this at this situation from this direction. Let me just take a look at it from another direction and see, because we might find that there are some positives that we did not see just because of having a different perspective. If
Mhm.
we're accustomed saying, well, wait a minute, you know what? This is not going to work through for me. I'm not the person for it. Well, just stop and say, wait a minute. Well, what made them even ask me to do this? What do they see in me that I don't see in myself?
Yeah.
What are some things that makes me qualified for this that I've not examined yet? Like, I think sometimes when we ask different quality questions to ourselves, we find a different result. But if not, then you find, wait a minute, we're just choked up with fear, and we're just sabotaging at every corner. We're procrastinating out of fear. We're shutting down opportunities out of fear, and we're not asking ourselves quality questions that really bring us into God's purpose and destiny for our life. I'm not talking about, just trying to drum up, wait a minute, I've never gone to school, but I sure can be a doctor next week. That's not what I'm talking about, yo. That's
Yeah.
not it.
Yeah.
I saw, Danielle, there was a picture on Facebook. There was a lion. The lion was resting, and there was this monkey with a stick. And the monkey was walking up to the lion, it's about to hit the stick. And somebody said, God only knows which life coach told this monkey that they can do it. I said, you guys got to stop it. Like, that is not it. That is not coaching, right? But the thing is sometimes it feels that way, because when you're going anti your belief system, it can feel like a monkey hitting the line with the stick. Like, no,
Yes.
this is something bad's going to happen. But
Yes.
it's because we're not accustomed taking a look at it that way. So the feelings that are coming up are feelings that are still in alignment with what we already believe the situation to be. It's a situation I'm going to fail in. It's a situation that, I'm this person's not for me, or whatever it is. But there are times we legitimately have to sit with ourselves and say, hey, you've been going down this road for forever, and there are 10 other roads that you have not even taken a look at. There
Yeah.
are more positive roads, right? There are other avenues that are actually for your good, but because you have been surviving down this road, you just keep going because you're comfortable. When are we going to step out of our comfort zones and take charge, right? Not saying, not go down the Grand Rapids with our emotions, right? And say, hey, if I think something, what's the result of a different thought? How about I ask myself a better quality question? How about I ask myself something different? Maybe something that I haven't asked myself before. Maybe it's a perspective. Let me take a look at a perspective I didn't take a look at before. And that's going to open up a whole new world, not just a whole new world of different feelings, but it's going to open up a whole new world of possibilities. Because when you stand in, like, when you take a look at things from a different perspective, it's not just survival or fear based. You have a possibility form of thinking. Not just that, but remember the scripture I said? He didn't give us what? Fear, a spirit of fear. He gave us power. It unlocks power. It
Mhm.
unlocks power. You're going to find that in a position of power, you're thinking differently.
Yeah.
You're seeing opportunities. You're like, wait a minute, that was there the whole time. Why? Because your brain is wired to focus on exactly what you tell it to focus on. And if that's fair, you're going to see everything that's the boogeyman,
Yeah.
everything that's fearful. But if it's hope, and if it's love, and if it's breakthrough, and if it's opportunities, you're going to see exactly what you set your mind to see, you know?
Yeah. 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 And I think so much is like, okay, even if it's not like what is in front of me does not equal where, it doesn't look nothing like, and it's like, come on, guy, you're telling me it's going to be good. It still looks bad. Look at it. It's bad, and it's like, it's, to keep moving,
Yeah.
in that direction. And I remember when we were just talking about vision and focus, like at a point in time, it was just so hard to see, and it's like, fear will cloud so much of your creative thinking, and I think that's what a lot of it is. And it's like, I even just, when they talk about being a writer, they say that writers sit down at the same, typewriter, whatever, at the same time every day, even if nothing comes out of their pen, even if, because they're so committed to the work that it's like, I still sit here, I still sow a seed
Yeah.
here, I still, maybe I'll sit here today and think, but tomorrow I'll come and write 100 pages, and I think that just like looking at what God is doing kind of like that and still showing up, because like you said, it's like, because what I did here when you were talking is like, oh, I'm procrastinating, and then it's like, oh, my friends are sending me social media posts, so now I'm in shame when I was just trying to come out of fear. I was afraid to do something, and then y'all started making fun of me, and then you put all these labels on me, and I'm this, and I'm that, and I have issues with this, and like, and it's like, what did God say about you?
Yes.
Like,
Yes.
you
Period.
know and everything else gets so loud, like, and sometimes we're like, oh, God is the still quiet voice, and it's like, God could be as loud as he want to be. I could be in an arena with 100,000 people screaming, and I can still hear that small voice. So I don't even think it's about us being in a quiet place. It's just about being available to him in that way. And I just think it just changed a lot of my life when I could see things were coming out of fear-based thoughts, decisions, emotions, feelings, affecting everything. And like how you do one thing is everything. It's no way fear is going to affect you, in your family, because success will cause us to think it's not affecting us,
Yeah.
because it's like, oh, I'm employee of the month, but like, oh, my wife hates me, or like my husband don't want to talk to me when we come home. And it's like, well, I'm successful over here, and it's like fear has probably crept into all of the areas, but you can only see what's doing well, and then you're
Yes.
just pushing into that where,
Yeah.
I look up and I'm like, my acting career is great, everything's great. I'm like, what else is going good? Let's water some, when we talk about having your garden,
Yeah.
and having, a full garden and watering each pot. So I think fear will have you to the point where you're like, I ain't got no garden. Like I remember one time you were like, hey, y'all, look at your garden. And I was like, girl, it's a dry blanket. And you were like, no, 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 no. Like, let's see your, and I think, like you said, it takes a lot of outside of ourselves, because
Yeah.
people,
Yeah.
like, oh, you're going to therapy, just go to church, but you have to do the work, because if you're so comfortable with your thoughts, they have become yours. Like you said, you're not your feelings, but they still, they have a PO, they come back to your PO box. Like those feelings will get returned to sender. Like they
Yeah.
do belong to you, but they don't, belong to you. And I think
Yeah.
you just, it went to the point to where, I could see it, because I'm just like, what is this? Like, why am I showing up like that? Because I'm so used to it. I'm not seeing things for what they are. And
Yeah.
we don't see our own cycles. So that's why I'm like, I need to sit down with a life coach. I need to sit with, I need somebody to minister to me, because it's like, I might think I'm doing good. I might think like, I'm making the right decisions. But really, and so talking about fear coming emotionally, like, I know the distorted view that fear can create
Yeah.
over
Yeah.
a person.
For sure. As you were talking before, you mentioned about faith. Like faith, I believe, like identity is such a serious thing. I was watching this Facebook post. This lady was talking about, not Facebook, Instagram post. This lady was speaking about how important it is for a father to really have that connection time with his daughter, because it establishes an identity in terms of, who she's going to marry in the future and how she values herself and things like that. I said that's really true, but it's like this. It's faith, right? When you read Hebrews, it says that faith is the substance of things hoped for and the evidence of things not seen, right? So Faith is a substance of things hoped for, and the evidence, that means we're evidence of something that we cannot even see. You think about in terms of purpose and destiny, right? Our faith plays a huge part. If your faith atrophies, you're going to have a problem with believing for the future.
Mhm.
But you think about not just faith, but if you have a lot of faith and your identity is not intact, you're gonna believe, but you're gonna go through some rocky stuff because you're gonna have sabotage, self-sabotage all the time. The belief system is like, oh my goodness, I can believe for this, but then you know what, but me though, is that for me? Is it, man, I'm not too sure if I'm the one. And then you're going back and forth because you got the faith, but the identity is not intact. So there are times where we're having different kinds of wars as we go through. There are times where we're working on like transformational coaching in terms of really, or life story coaching, where you're dealing with really establishing and rooting in that identity, but there are times where, we really have to plug into really building our faith and finding what are the blockers.
Yeah.
What are the blockers that are really blocking our pathways of faith and our ability to really believe bigger and believe God for what he's saying in our lives? Like, what's happening that's causing this to take place in our hearts and our minds? Because there are times where we can analytically ascend to something that we think we can do, but then when the rubber meets the road, we just stay on the cloud and just floating up.
Mhm.
That's just such a good dream and a vision. That's such a nice
Mhm.
vision. But the action, we have a problem with the execution because it's just such a nice vision. The vision, this time, no negative emotions, only positive. The vision feels good. But then switching over to the action is where the problem comes in, because then now the rubber meets the road. Now it's not just me talking about it. It's me actually acting on doing it. I remember when I first started my business, and I thought, Lord, because I started coaching. I'm thinking, coaching what? Like, I'm a minister. Like, I'm a minister here. So how does ministry and coaching and all this stuff, even acting, how is all of it put together? This doesn't make sense. So
Yes.
doing ministry and coaching, I thought, Lord, because the ministry, you're thinking, we're just going to lay hands and cast out a spirit. We're just going to, let's keep it moving. But no, just like discipleship in churches, there is a process. People come to church every single day, but there is a process. And with coaching, it is a process. It's a process of undoing some of the things that you believe so that you can move forward. Coaching is a forward moving process. It
Mhm.
means that, therapy looks backward and really goes into some of those past hurts and foundational things. Coaching, sometimes people bring up those things in coaching, but coaching is like, well, I know where you are, but how do we move you forward?
Yeah.
How do we get you to move forward? How are you working on in terms of that goal, your identity? How do we change that story? Because
Yeah.
we're telling ourselves these stories, and it's stories that are not filled with faith.
Yeah.
It's stories about who we are and our identity is not established. It's like we're believing all kinds of things about ourselves because Auntie so-and-so told you, or because a situation proved that to you, and we have to rework those stories because for some of us, we have that dream. We
Yeah.
got a big dream, like a big, massive dream. And when we take a look at our dream and then we look at ourselves, we're doing like Moses and we're stuttering. God, I don't,
Mhm.
it's like, you're like, I don't, it's not me. Where's Aaron? Where is Aaron? Because we're not doing it. We're like, I'm not doing it, right? So we're asking for Aaron. But the thing about it is that at those places, you find a lot of people forfeit. It sounds
Mhm.
good, all that burning bush, the bush burning, and he telling me all
Yeah.
these great things that's going to happen. I wanted Israel to be free. Israel wanted Israel to be free, but I don't think I'm the one, right?
Yeah.
So I can pray it through, like maybe I can fast like a good Christian, right? But I don't want to be
Yeah.
the one, because how can I go to Pharaoh? And a lot of times in the Word of God, you see where God presents a massive dream. He presents something that's out of the sphere. Even with Abraham, when God spoke to Abraham and he talked to him and he said, I want you to take a look at the stars, and he began to project Abraham's future to him, just kind of showing him what it was. You got to understand that back in that day, the framework of their culture said that your inheritance was within family. It was not without family. Your inheritance, everything that you believed, how your future went forward, your financial establishment, your protection, all of it came from family. Nobody understood, like when God said, I'm going to cause you to lead a nation. No, that's not it. Like, what is that?
Mhm.
There was not a framework for that. So when God spoke to Abraham, he was taking him outside what he was accustomed to when it comes to protective, like his protection, because the people
Yeah.
protected, you're in a group of people that protected. He's taking him outside of his economic framework where he could take things with him, but you don't even know what could happen, and you have no support systems. He was taking him out of his inheritance because his inheritance came through family, which came through the people group that he was a part of. So he was saying, I'm going to make you a great nation. And the framework for that, like, what is that framework? So God, it's like when God's speaking to you, but he's saying, what are you saying, God? I don't know what you're telling me. I mean, I get it because I can speak English, right? Habla English.
Yeah.
But I don't get what you're saying because I don't have the perspective. But the reason why God said this is counter for faith with Abraham is because if you can believe me to protect you, to provide for you, to give you an inheritance, to give you something different that's outside, you've given up everything, then here's what. I'm going to give you exactly what I told you I'll give you, because if for you to be able to walk out that level of destiny, your faith has to match it.
Yeah.
You are a worthy opponent for the purpose and destiny that God's placed in front of you. I want you to hear that, all you that's on here. You're a worthy opponent. You are qualified. God's put everything on the inside of you that you need. Listen to me. It's in you. The thing is, some of us, we got to discover those parts. We got to discover, wait a minute, I can't function outside my tribe. I
Yeah.
can believe God for economic stability. I can
Mhm.
believe in protection. Just like with Abraham, I can hear God say something and I can believe him for what he said. And I can also become the person that walks that out.
Yeah.
That's where personal development comes in. It's that becoming process where you begin to say, wait a minute, these thoughts served me when I was with my father. These thoughts served me when I was with my tribe. It served me when I was walking out a certain area economically or whatever it is. But right now, are these thoughts going to serve me for my future? How do I now take up like the shield of faith, in a sense? How do I now take on faith for my destiny to be able to walk out those things that the Lord has told me? And that's going to take, that's a lot of guts. But you know what?
Yeah.
We got the faith. If God has spoken to you concerning something, if you in your heart, there's a dream, there's a vision, there's something that God put on your heart, the only thing that can stop you from accomplishing that thing is really like all those thoughts that are saying, nope,
Yeah.
nope,
Yeah.
that's not you. But here's what, sometimes maybe it's not us. Maybe we're becoming the person that qualifies for that, but we're judging ourselves at a place where we only know, hey, I stutter like Moses. I'm Hadassah like Esther. I don't know nothing about living by myself like Abraham.
Yeah.
Maybe we're judging ourselves in a certain place. So what we're seeing as a negative is a person that's becoming. So we got to be kinder to ourselves. Even in the midst of our fears, we have to look and say, wait a minute, I might be afraid because I'm not built up in something yet. That's like saying, you
Yeah.
know what, I'm going to be brave and jump into the ocean, but I have no swimming lessons. I do not know how to swim. I've never been to the ocean. I can't, that does not make sense. But what I can say is, whoa, I want to swim in the ocean. I want to swim. Let me swim in this pool. I want to, how about I just try doing swimming lessons?
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
one step. So sometimes, even as we think about, like, through our minds, we're looking at these thoughts of sabotage. What's your first step? If
Yeah.
we're gonna break up with fair, sometimes it's a slow process,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? Because you call fair, you told them, listen, you sent a text message, they ain't
Listen,
listening.
I'm parked outside. I'm not going nowhere, girl. You belong to me. What are you talking about? Like, you
You
mine.
know, exactly, right? So it's
Yeah.
like we got to take the steps. We got
Yeah.
to take the steps. Esther wasn't queen overnight, right? So what did she do? She had to first say yes to the assignment. And then I guarantee you, she's like, I don't know what Mordecai talking about. Like,
Yeah.
I don't even want to marry the cat. Like, I don't, okay,
Yeah.
fine. So then she had to go through a process of purification. She's like, I don't want to be up in here. And I got to go through all this. She went through for, I think it was about 3 years. You went
Yeah.
through first with bitter herbs, and then with things that perfume. And you had to understand what did the king does the king like and speak to. There was a process of becoming, and then she became queen, and then she fulfilled assignment by being the deliverer for a people, right? But it was a process, and we're thinking, wait a minute, I'm gonna believe this Monday, and Tuesday is gonna happen.
Yeah.
It's a process, and I think a lot of times we keep looking at the outcome, but we don't respect the process enough.
Yeah.
And we got to respect process, because process is really what creates the outcome.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
creating a quality process creates a quality outcome.
Yeah. Like cold pressing versus, press like it's like
Exactly.
you laughing at that olive in that press, but you've been in there a minute. I know your olive oil is always done, but like we're not, and I think that's the thing, like taking the time we you get to really cut out, it's like so some meats it's like I don't want no fat, but we know some meats where it's like I want the one with the fat on it. So it's like we're not trimming the fat, like when you do it the right way. And it's
Yeah.
just so God because um I was gonna ask you, what do you think? a person's first step would be. And you
Uh-huh.
just went into that. And it brought me back to my grandfather. I did not meet him while he was living, but he would always tell my mother, it's life, the importance of life is always in the little things,
Yeah.
and when we talk to prophets, you'll say, God did this, and they're like, nothing is little to God. Like, like you talk to people that know God, they're like, God ain't got no little business nowhere. I don't care if you think it didn't take a lot of you. It was a big deal. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it's like in the little things, like, okay, you could be the secretary at the Fortune 500 company, but the Lord could be telling you you are going to be the CEO here. And I'm not talking about crazy. I'm talking about God give you a vision and told you that but right now you're still in the mailroom,
Mm-hmm.
right? But like you said, picking up reading some leadership book, taking some
Yes.
business classes on the weekends, like, and your movement is a momentum for your miracle, is what I always say.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Yes.
like if I'm moving, God, like, hey, look at her looking crazy, let me give her, like, like, give him something that he can bless.
Uh-huh.
I can do
Yeah.
all things. Sometimes the scripture is like, wait, do all things so
Mm-hmm.
God can strengthen it. Like,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
get like getting married, giving God a union, something He can bless. And people watch how the covenants, but honestly, treating that vision like it's covenant. You know
Yes.
what I mean? And
Yeah.
treating it through the same laws and rules and the same
Mm-hmm.
honor and respect, because it's like I would tell my friends, like, it's like God gives you vision. He shows you the whole room and how everything's gonna be, and then He turns the lights off. And then it's like you're finding your way, like, wait, I just saw a water fountain. And I say, and it's like, what is it? And it's like God gives you vision. And then it's your job to take the resources around you and make them look as much like the vision as
Mm-hmm.
possible. But like you said,
Yeah.
if you're letting fear get into your head and God is sending you this person that wants to help you understand accounting because that's what you don't understand, and you're like, I don't know that, like you said, the dress thing, you're like, why they coming over here talking to me at Starbucks? They're weird. He's trying to get some money out of me. And the Holy Spirit's like, no, fear, like, this is a good person, because I
Yeah.
think fear sometimes can trump discernment. And
That's true.
just like you were telling me a story about a mom who was, I don't know if they were at some type of rainforest thing, but I think a monkey jumped on her and she like flipped the baby's stroller, and you were
Mm-hmm.
like, this
Yes.
woman would never, she
Yes.
looked, a good mom. We're just assuming she wouldn't hurt her child, but it's like she wasn't thinking, she didn't even know her name in that moment. She didn't, and I think that's why Jesus on the Mount, that's like a big deal, to think
Yeah.
about and talk about, because that was a part too that I feel like he was trying to show us how the enemy is going to twist our thoughts. Even when you
Yeah.
were talking about, oh, what's going to be attacked, they're going to attack what you need to fight with.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Yes.
if you're a
Yes.
singer, they're gonna attack your throat. If you're working with your hands, they're gonna attack your hand. If you're a runner,
Mm-hmm.
expect your, so it's like it don't look like that to us. It just looks like, oh, I need to just, and it's like, no, they're attacking that area because,
Mm-hmm.
like, just like you said, we may not know our, but the enemy does. He's studying us. I look at my toddler. He's been studying him. He can't even speak. He's
Mm-hmm.
already, and studying to see what do they like, what, and it's like our children can't, he studies us early. So I think we are dealing with somebody who knows us well,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and a lot of this, like
Yeah.
you said, you would input thoughts into the people until
Mm-hmm.
you recognize that thought is a thought that the enemy gave you. Like you said, like
Mm-hmm. That's
I had
true.
to keep saying to myself, I'm not my feelings, I'm not my feelings, because it
Yeah.
doesn't feel that way. You feel that you're every thought that you're having, like people that
Mm-hmm.
deal with suicide, that
Mm-hmm.
it feels real to them to the point where they're taking their life.
Mm-hmm.
And it's sad. It's sad that
Mm-hmm.
your thoughts get so twisted and you think that's you. Sometimes we're like, that was God.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It's like,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah. Yeah, that's the truth. That is the truth. And that's such a really heavy topic too. For as you were talking, my mind went back to Moses. And you think about Moses standing at the Red Sea. 'Cause how about we think about ourselves standing at any sea, period, just any sea. And then I got this branch. I don't know which tree I got it from, right? So I'm putting it that way because that's the reality, right? I don't know where I got it. Pretty tall. Maybe that's my height or something. A little bit taller than me, maybe. I don't know. And you have a branch. The Pharaoh's army is coming at you. This is an army. Like, it's like horses and chariots and really strong people who've trained for this. They're like assassins coming at you and the people, you know. And then you're standing there, and God is wanting you to stretch out that rod. That's all you do. You've been had the staff. You had the staff when you were, see you digging a hole in the ground, just walking and picking a hole in the ground with that staff, right? You had that staff when you were just probably trying to knock away some animal that was coming to one of your, I don't know, your sheep or goat or something. You had that staff. Like, the sheep was okay. The hole was okay. Even when you had to probably knock a little bit, you're like, what are you doing there? Stop touching that thing. You okay with that. But then when you look at that staff and the ocean, any ocean, you're like, no, 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 no. This does not make any sense.
Ain't no
But
way.
God's telling you to stretch that out. He's like, I know you think you need more than this, but what you have is enough to part that. You can part it if you
Yeah.
just stretch it out. And I think the first step is really honestly understanding that where we are, like, is enough. We can start there. You can start anywhere you are right now. Sometimes we wait and we think, well, wait a minute, I need all these things to start. I need all
Mhm.
these great things and everything to be put in place perfectly. Like they said, it was a journey of a thousand miles begins at one step or something like that. I keep
Mhm.
messing up the whole quote, but yeah,
But you
take it as
got
that.
you
It
got
sounds
it.
the same, right? So yeah, right. So the thing is, it's like we just, what do you have in your hand? What do you have? Like, what's that one thing that you can do today, that's able to move you forward, that's able, you just that one thing. You're like, okay, maybe the one thing is I gotta have this conversation.
Yeah.
Maybe the one thing is I gotta sit down and just even take a look at, like, where have I been functioning in fear? But you don't need to always make a big leap. Hey, if that's what you want to do, that's your choice. But if you are really scared to make a decision, make the smallest decision you can make and begin to pick up momentum. Make another small one. If you make 10 small decisions, it's a big decision, right?
Yeah.
So it's about just taking that one small step to move forward because it qualifies. I think sometimes we want to see the big, the great, and the grand, and we forget that it takes 100 small things. Like some people, like they're like, I'm gonna do 2 hours working out until you didn't do it Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday. What are you
Yeah.
doing? Every time you thought about that 2 hour workout, you quit. Every time
Yeah.
you quit
Yeah.
the gym 5 days a week, every day you quit, right?
Yeah.
But if you had done like a 5 minute workout, then a 10-minute workout, just do a 15 minute something. It's, you're still making steps, and what you're doing, you're getting yourself set in a direction that was different from the one that you were in before. So if you
Yeah.
just do something small, just start off doing the small thing, it's going to get you in the right direction because it qualifies.
Yeah.
If you exercise for those 15 minutes, you did it for the 10 minutes or 5, you exercise,
You
you
did it.
started somewhere, and then you said, wait a minute, I want to do it again. Just make a small decision. It's just those little things. I think we look for the great and the grand things, but one, I can't remember who it was they were talking about. They said, just wake up, you make your bed, brush your teeth, take a shower, just maybe on Sunday night, write out your plan for the week. Maybe if you have 2 goals for the week or something, just starting to make it begins to change your life. You don't become a whole different person by just sleeping, wake up, and making all these extreme decisions. Some people do, but sometimes it registers in your brain as pain, and your brain is trying to escape what you're doing. It's like, I don't want to do this. It feels like pain. So when you feel like you're procrastinating and you are in fear, sometimes it's literally that your brain is saying, this is painful, I don't want to do it. And if you give yourself time, maybe the time will allow you to adjust to this new thing that you're trying to do with your life, right?
Yeah.
It'll give you time to really begin to make that new decision, just one step at a time, and it's going to lead you in the right direction because it compounds as you keep making that choice moving forward. It doesn't register as pain. It just registers as, wait a minute, this is not so bad. This is me. Now, this
Yeah.
15 minutes here is, this is
Yeah.
me. It's actually me.
Yeah.
And then these little decisions compound before you know it, your whole week is different. You
Yeah.
know, your week is different, your month is different, your year is different, your life is different. So it's just those little things that compound. And so we don't discredit the small things that you can do today, just the little things that you can do.
Yeah.
Maybe it's on your bathroom mirror, you write something, on your bathroom mirror. Maybe it is like, you have this maybe a Bible scripture or something. You're like, I'm going to use this week.
Yeah.
I'm gonna look at this week here. This is my scripture for the week that I'm gonna use as I make decisions. Whatever it is, it's just finding something that's gonna cause you to come out of a place where you're constantly functioning in fear, and it helps you to begin to, maybe it's something that helps you to make a comparison. Like, wait a minute, I know I've been believing this thought here, but this is what the word says.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
this is not serving me. And not
Yeah.
only that, but you'll recognize, like, when I choose to think this way, I act a certain way as well. Because your thoughts, right, produces emotion, right,
Mhm.
produces a certain belief, and produces no behavior. And before you know it, the outcomes produce beliefs. So you have a whole cycle that's going on. So when you make those small decisions, they compound and they're able to change your life. And I just think, never look down on small decisions. They are life changing.
Yeah, yeah. Like you said, thinking about how far, these thoughts you've been thinking a certain way for 15 years, you
Mm-hmm.
know, it can be discouraging because you know how it is like that that first time you decide to leap. And it's like, you even think about people we know who are leaping for the first time. We're like, Lord, please just let it be not so bad so that they'll come back. You know, when people visit your church, you're like, Lord, please y'all don't do that crazy thing y'all be doing today, because I'm trying to get these people to come back. You know, you feel that way, but it can
Uh,
be, it can, I think that in that it just can be very discouraging in those short spans of time. You know, like if you, because you get so fired up, like you said, we see the vision and it's like, yes, oh
yeah,
my God, I'm gonna be doing that. And then it's like, wait, I gotta go to business school, or like, wait, you know, to do the things. But I think, like you said, becoming, just starting to position yourself, just making sure that your posture, you know, like the old church people, like, you gotta, your hands gotta be ready for God to put something in, you know. And it's like, it's like, really, like if God
yeah,
drops it down and I wasn't in that, you know, if I wasn't even, and sometimes your hands aren't even out yet, but you're willing, you know, like. And that's why I like what you're saying, like moving, it creates a momentum,
yeah.
because now it's like, okay, like let's pull you out, like,
Yeah.
you know.
And somebody
Yeah,
said we overestimate what we can do in, I think it's a year, but we underestimate what we can do in 5 years.
yeah,
You know,
yeah,
so when we're making those plans, like in a week, I'm gonna lose 55 pounds. Like,
yes,
wait a minute.
yes.
Wait a minute, like what is happening? It just, it just, and I know we want to get there fast, like I know, but I just think the question is, like, sometimes it's like, is why do we want to get there so fast? We want to, but I we have to value process and not just outcome. The outcome is great, but having a quality process is it, like, even products based on the process the
Hmm.
product goes through. Some things take longer, but when that
Hmm.
product comes out, whoa, it goes through
Hmm.
quality control. You know what I'm saying? You have all your checks and balances in place, and you decide this is the quality that I want. You might have to pay a little bit more of a price for that. Even in terms of when just the development spaces of the product. Where you're sourcing the ingredients or whatever from. The materials from. But when you're done, you have a quality product. It took longer than somebody else who just got it overnight, but that product will stand the test of time. And
Yeah.
we want our we want to stand the test of time. And that means that as we're being built, and that's all of us, me, you, everybody on here, where it's our character that's being built. You're being built in integrity. You made a mistake, you're like, oh man, Jesus, help me, Lord, today, tomorrow, and always, like, help me. So we're asking God, build us, make us, mold us, Jesus. But it's like we're going through this process, we're being built, but we're being, like I said, that just keeps coming back to me. I gotta write something on this, but it's like we are a worthy
Yes.
opponent for our destiny. God, it's fixed, like, and we are in the match to win. We can win this thing. What you see, you can apprehend. So I think it's understanding that we're a worthy opponent. We have to start off there really understanding, yes, I can do this. And now
Yeah.
how I do it, that's different. I may not be able to do it overnight, but if I can just say, okay, what's my goal? What's my goal for the month? I want to see this again, but what's my goal for the month? Then break that down. What about what's my goal for this week? And then wait a minute, what am I going to accomplish today? Right?
Yeah.
Break it down and say, well, I just wanna take these steps. And if that means, say for instance, you want to do public speaking, if you're like, I want to do
Hmm.
public speaking, and you sign up and you go to one of the largest stages, you will probably faint and fall down, like, not maybe, I mean, hey, some people will survive it, hey, but 9 times out of 10 when you see that crowd, you done forgot all you wrote, memorized everything. But if you say, wait a minute, let me just find this group, maybe a church or a group, maybe there's a group somewhere around, let me just try to speak there. You not only, there's a couple things that happen. You learn how to speak to that group. You learn areas you need to be built up in and strengthen in, so that you don't do that on the large stage. You learn, you're building up in character, in integrity. You learn, like, I don't like this process. I'm I'm
Hmm.
I'm learning things about myself as I go along. So I'm not just
Yeah.
saying I want to do this big thing. It's not about the outcome. It's about who I become as well. I'm learning what's my methodology. What is a story that I really want to tell. I'm learning I don't want to tell that story, but I want to tell this one, right? I'm
Hmm.
learning these are the people I want to speak to. So I wanted that stage, but my vision was just I want to speak on large stages globally, but I don't want to speak on every stage, because now I'm honing into the people that I'm called to speak to. So all of these things are developing, and because of that, guess what? I'm learning myself, so my message is getting stronger. So
Hmm.
whereas I'd have spoken about everything, now I know what I'm called to speak about. So I am now zeroed into that. So my message is becoming concentrated as I begin to go through the process.
Yeah.
So when we see the end result of people's lives, we're like, I want to get there right now, today, even yesterday. But the thing is, they went through this process that made them better and better and better and better, and then they're there.
Yeah.
So to qualify and to be a worthy opponent, it's not, it's that, wait a minute, I got to go through my process. Right.
Yeah.
There's an older lady that says this is Apostle Grant. She's an amazing lady. I love her. But she keeps saying, she was like, there's a fish with your name on it. I'm like, what did you say? She's talking about Jonah, right? Jonah in the belly of the whale. She's like, there's a fish with your name on it. I thought, Lord Jesus, I take my name off that fish.
Your name on the fish right now.
Right? So I'm like, but that's true. Our life, there are gonna be battles, but we are a worthy opponent. We gotta figure out, wait a minute, this battle is not to break me. It's to
Yeah.
make me. So then how is it making me? I'm gonna lean into the making.
Yeah.
I'm gonna lean into that. I'm not. If I feel like it's gonna break me, I'm gonna resist. I'm gonna say no, no, no. I'm gonna run from. No, but there's some challenging situations. It's there to make us, and
Yeah.
we gotta lean into the making because it's gonna show us some things about ourselves. I've been through that. I'm still going through something. So it's like for all of us, we go through challenging things, and it's like iron sharpening iron. The situation is also a worthy opponent, and it's saying, all right, let me see if you can defeat me.
Yeah.
Let me see what you're gonna do in this right here. Let me see, you're gonna
Yeah.
buckle, you're gonna break, or you're gonna
Yeah.
stand. Let me see what you're gonna do. Are you gonna learn, or are you gonna keep failing because you say, I don't know? Are you gonna say, wait a minute, I am weaker in this. Let me pick up a couple books.
Yeah.
Let me find a mentor. Like that's what the situations are doing. So we gotta see them for what they are because there's nothing that God brings your way that you can't overcome.
Yeah.
When
Yeah.
God brings something, it's for your better. So, okay, if I see it that way, then what is the better in this and what's the lesson in this? How is it making me? How is it building me? So instead of responding in fear, if we respond in faith, it's like there's nothing that's coming my way that I cannot overcome.
Yeah. No,
I'm going
that's
to be
good.
better as I go through this because I'll see the gold in this situation,
Yeah.
and having a different approach to it. So a thought like that is going to produce a different outcome rather than run to the hills. I
Yeah.
don't mean from whence come at your help. I mean, just run to the hills. Like
Yeah.
if I
Yeah.
think that way, then I'm just escaping. But if I see that this is a situation that's here to make me, it's hard. Like,
Yeah.
because we're going through some tough stuff.
Yeah.
Well, how can I become better in the midst of this? Even who can I give to?
Yeah.
Who can I help or build up in the midst? Like, how can I give in this? Like, there are other ways you can posture yourself. There's a person that made a statement and they said, the last of the human freedoms is to choose your attitude in any given situation. And listen to me, I know some situations are hard. You definitely be like Jonah on top of that caterpillar ate that bush. You're like, man, I'm so fat that bush going. Like, the bush is there. Sometimes we feel like just like grumbling, just annoyed at it. But you know what? It's like, hey, what if I'm like, thank God that there was a bush. And it
Yeah.
might not be there right now, but thank God that there was a bush. You know what? And here's what. I serve God who created the bush.
Yeah.
So I can even pray that he provided again. But if I'm complaining, I can't see that.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Yeah. I love what you're saying. And as you're talking, I'm just like the process that when you're becoming and you're going through the process of respecting it, it can feel very childlike, and I got like a two-part here. Like it's like one, why is it so important to see God as father when you're
Mm-hmm.
going through this to transition out of this, the kind of thought. But also it's just like I'm trying to say it the way I'm thinking it. Like the other side of it, like if my son, I have my son's almost 2. It's like if he picks this up and puts it the right way, I'm like, oh, would you look at you put the book on the shelf, so it's like we
Yeah.
have to remember
Yeah.
it's like when no matter how much of a boss you are, how old you are, how successful you are, when you're transitioning out of certain mindsets, it can make
Mm-hmm.
you feel very vulnerable and
Yeah.
like it can feel very much like square one again, like you're
Yeah.
like I own my own company, what am I doing here taking a class on, and it's like, wait a minute, God is doing something, but even the little parts of like, we praise our children when we see them doing well and doing things that they weren't able to do before, or doing things that they've relearned to do in another way. So I think it's important to give yourself that childlike grace. But
Mm-hmm.
why do you think it is so important to really view God as Father when walking through a process of transitioning yourself out of
Yeah.
fear-based thoughts and decisions?
Yeah, that's really important. And I'm gonna pull on that word that you mentioned a word before, but it's not in relation to exactly what you said, but the word boss. There's a difference between um boss and a leader, and there's also a difference between, an individual that is like a father and a taskmaster. And I think sometimes in religion, I'm gonna use the word religion, there are times where we see God as this just this hard taskmaster that if you do right, then good, but if you do wrong, you're a bad person, you're bad. Like, it's a way our perception of God is. I think we really need to correct it, because if anybody wants you to win, it's God.
Yeah.
If we don't see that, it's going to be real hard for us to serve God, because we're going to think everything is God just teaching me a lesson. Why would God want to teach you a lesson in that way? I'm just saying, like, we have to really, even when we read scripture, we really want to read it in context. I believe that's a big issue. First of all, scripturally, we're reading scripture out of context a lot, because we're reading a version that's been translated. We're not going back to the cultural context. Information out of context will be false
Yeah.
very quickly. You
Hmm.
take the piece of information and put it in the wrong context, and everybody's like, wait a minute, it's blue. You're like, blue is green over here. Like, wait a minute, completely different, right? So I think with us viewing God, we have to really read the word of God in context. First of all, we need better biblical education, period. Because we taking these scriptures and waving them, and all we want is a song to dance, scream and shout and roll, and we get back up like, I don't know what he said, but I feel good. Let me go. So, and we have to go back to the roots of it. When he said, you're seated in heavenly places with Christ Jesus, when he said, you are engrafted into the vine, when he speaks about us being the apple of his eye, there's a couple things that in scripture we got to go back to the foundation. When he calls us his beloved, and it's going back to understand, this is it, what is the heart of the writer of the book? Anybody who, well, first of all, Danielle, you're not sending your son to die for me at all, period. I know that. I'm even asking you, you be like, no, lady, no, bye-bye, I love you, you're pastor, I'll pray for you. No, but you're not sending it, right? And
We
vice
ain't.
versa. I'm like, ain't nobody sending nobody's son, nobody's doing it. But can you imagine a person that would send their son? Like, what kind of person is that? Like, how can we put that we see, if we look at the characteristics of an individual just in our life, a person that will give everything for you to ensure your success, how can we put them in the same bracket as a person who's just there's a taskmaster over your head, just wants, something's not right with that. Like, and we don't
Mm-mm.
sit down to critically think about that, and to think, well, wait a minute, our biblical education needs to shift a little bit, because we're not viewing God as father. There's
Mhm.
some things a father would do that a friend would not do. A father, a real father, would give his own self for you.
Yeah.
A father, like, no, we have to see God even through scripture as father, and what that means and what that looks like. It's really understanding, like, why are some things a certain way? Like, how does he even look within biblical context? Or what's a biblical language in that? We need biblical education. I'm just being true. There's
Yeah.
a lot of false stuff going around,
Yeah.
and it's not okay. Even some of the things people are saying online, it's real condemning. It's just like attacking it, like, everybody's making it
Yeah.
seem like everybody's perfect, everybody outside there is bad, and people are just bad. No, like, really honestly, people are going through a tough time. This is a hard time in history. Like, it's a hard time. There's a lot of confusion, a lot of things going on. Listen to me. Even the best prophets and apostles and preachers can get it wrong. Because of the times that we're living in right now, there is so much happening, and everybody's processing a gazillion things at a time. People are trying to hear from God for their lives, for their kids' lives. There's a lot going on. So I just think that when it comes to the fundamentalist thing, is that God is Father. That is who he is. Not just that, but how about we take it, let's go back a little bit. God is love. That doesn't mean that he has love or he just contains love. It means that he is the epitome of what love is. So if God is love, even at times when we feel that he's firm, we have to question, like, why is he doing this? Or what is happening really? Or is this God, or is this the enemy? And what is God given me to overcome this situation? What tool I'm not using?
Mm.
Or maybe even, like, where was this started in my generational line that he wants me to be the one that shuts the door to it, and I got to press through but it's already done, it's already finished. He's saying it's finished. I already paid the price for that. Now what you have to do is enforce the victory that's been given. So we're not
Mm.
coming in thinking, oh my goodness, everything's bad, all this awful, and that's just the way life is. No, he's saying, listen, life, no, that's not what it is. I have given you the authority to enforce this victory. Are you going to take your authority, or are you just going to leave it and you're going to be a victim? What are you going to do here? So it's understanding that, no, we are enforcing, this is what God said, and this is what applies to my life, to the life of my children, to my husband, to my
Yeah.
family. This is what applies, even to the
Yeah.
people I'm connected to. God bless them. God keep my friends, and so, no, my neighbors, and my community. This is what applies. So we are enforcing the victory that Jesus died for. So I think it's, I really think understanding who God is as Father is an empowerment. Just like I was telling you at the beginning about the dad, when he treats the child a certain way,
Hmm.
She has a certain level of understanding of her value, and that's for us too. If we perceive God a certain way, we don't see our value. Because here's what, we are image bearers. We are image bearers. I'm talking about saved or unsaved. Hello. We are
Yeah.
image bearers,
Yeah.
right? So that means that if we are image bearers, God make us like, I look like my daddy.
Yeah.
I look just like him. You
Yeah.
look like him, and everybody here look like him, right? So
Yeah.
the thing is that there are characteristics of God that we have. So if we don't know him, how are we gonna know who we are?
Yeah.
How are we going
Yeah.
to be establishing our identity? We got to know our Father, right? We have to be able to commune with our Father, spend time, read the Word, for to say who He is, for to speak about the promises of God, for us to understand what is His nature, His holiness. Holiness is His character, right? His
Mhm.
integrity. He said, I'm not a liar. Like, I will hold my promises towards you. We got to understand that. So when the enemy comes to speak what is anti His promises for our life, or anti the victory that's been established, we're going to say, oh, no, 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 hold a minute now. My Father's not going to be a whole God. He's not going to be God. And then you come with this stuff over here. No, I'm going to stand in my rightful place and I will enforce what's been done. And I think it's understanding that, because if not, what happens is that we give up, we curl up, and we say, I'm done. And then the enemy just rushes in. We're like, man, that's just how it was anyway.
Yeah.
But no, that's not it.
Yeah.
You are a child of God, and therefore you got rights.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we got to know who our Father is, because we got to know that He is love. He loved us. He made the biggest sacrifice we wouldn't even make. Like, let's be honest, we would not make that sacrifice. That's the truth. So if He can do that for us, to say, hey, I want you to succeed. You are blessed. Not you are blessed. That's what you are. You've been
Yeah.
blessed. So He said it was good. He even called mankind, this is good. He put a blessing on mankind. Like, you know what I'm saying? So it's like, when we understand what God's done and we really take a look at that properly, we need to approach Him differently, so that we understand who we are and so that we function differently in this world.
That is so good. So good. So good the way you broke it down. Like, God is Father, but it's like, what are my rights? If I'm a child of a king,
Mm-hmm.
the not a king, the king,
Mm-hmm.
what and even you saying that to me before, a while back, was just like, it just blew me away. It was just kind of like, wait a minute.
Mm-hmm.
There's some birthright here, or there's some, like
Mm-hmm.
there's something that I forgot about. Like you said, you just start looking over. What am I not using? What
Yeah.
do I need to up? What do I need to pull back? Like what's pulling me here, pulling me there? Um, but definitely like seeing God as Father, because that process make you feel so childlike.
Mm-hmm.
Like
Yeah.
no matter the success, or or if you're a mother, and
Yeah.
it's just
Yeah.
crazy that us as women like fight, as humans, but it's women being the fruit bearing version of God, and we still think we can't do things or produce
Yes.
things, or we're not good enough. And it's like, we the ones. I'm sorry, you don't see nobody, you don't see babies coming out of nobody else.
Mhm.
Like, and
Yeah.
I think,
Yeah.
like you said, it says so much about, that is like, if they say God, He made us in His image, and it's like, yes, but
Mhm.
we are that part of Him that actually bears the fruit. Like, we can talk
Mhm.
about the fruit, but until you
Yeah.
see the fruit,
Yeah.
so it's like,
Yeah. And you know what's crazy is that the word that's used for help me, we got to correct this. I told you we got to correct this biblical stuff, because some of it is out there. It's not true. The word that's used for help meet is the same. It's well, for one, you're dealing with a couple words here. One of them, it speaks about being equal opposites. It's like,
mhm,
if God were bringing you help, Danielle, He's like, for instance, you're in a situation, whoa, there's a fire, whoa, 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 whoa. You know what I'm saying? And fire trucks are coming. You think those men are gonna be like, well, we can't lift the hose, so I don't know. Like,
yeah,
what
yeah,
kind of help is that? Like,
yeah,
that's not no help. That right there is a burden. Give me the truck and the hose, I'll do it myself. That's not what when God said He sent help. The same word that's used for women as help is actually used for God in the Bible. So when you say help and we thinking about, she is kind, she is important. No, 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 ma'am. No, that's not the help we're talking about, right?
that ain't what we're talking about at
It's not
all.
that. It's not that help, right?
Yeah,
So it's like, we got to understand that, we got to understand what the scripture is saying about woman and what she really is. It speaks about one that wars alongside. When you go back to the translation, that's what it's saying. One
yeah,
that wars alongside, an equal opposite. It even speaks about one, what it's an equal opposite. It speaks about what's like this. In other words, if you are going out of line, this is a person that has a righteous gauge to be able to say, oh, no, 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 respectfully, but hey, no, this is not the way to go. That's not it.
Yeah.
That's not it. So it's not one that says, well, I mean, I guess if you want to go that, no. How can that's not help? That's not help at all.
Yeah.
So I just think that we gotta take some things out of a frame. We gotta put it in the right frame and
Yeah.
understand who is she?
Yeah.
Who
Yeah.
is woman?
Yeah.
Who is she, like, really, really? If you look at Moses, there were 7 different women that contributed towards Moses being a deliverer.
Yeah.
Where they at? Where are their stories? Why we not emphasize before Moses was born? He listen. If the midwives did not decide that they were going to disobey Pharaoh's rule, Moses would have been up in heaven with that little ring around his head saying, "Ooh," he would not be here, honey. So the thing is, there had to be a midwife that disobeyed. Then there had to be a mother that hid him for 3 months, 3 months, and put her life in danger. Let's give honor to them, right? Then there also had to be a sister that put him in the basket. Then there had to be, I think it was Pharaoh's, either his niece or his daughter, that says, wait a minute now, that's a Hebrew child. You think she would have known? She would have known it's a Hebrew child, right?
Yeah.
So she had to now disobey Pharaoh and say, wait a minute, we're going to take him in. Look at how many women are contributing before he even grows up to be a deliverer. So the lives of these women, they paved the way for Moses to be a deliverer.
Hmm.
So we got to look at the female figures in the Bible that were what? Equal opposites.
Yeah.
Ones that warred alongside. Ones that, even if you look at the Pharaoh's daughter, she was Egyptian. Like, why is she even doing? But something in her, there was a conscience somewhere in there that said, no, this is not right. Something's not okay with it. No, we're gonna take
Yeah.
this child, this water. We're gonna keep him.
Yes.
Something stood up in her and disobeyed. There's
Yeah.
times where there's a disobedience towards authority that's necessary, because if it's
Yeah.
unrighteous, then we have to respectfully disobey.
Yeah.
Right? That's the
Respectfully.
truth.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So so the thing is like they all played a part, and they were all women, amazing women. Deborah was she was a judge, but a judge back then would have been like compared to a king. Deborah, judge under a palm tree. Some people said she even had a family. Like, Deborah, you going home to cook? What you doing, Deborah, under this tree? Yeah, don't you have things to do? Your child's coming home from school. What you doing? Like, you know what I'm saying? So it's like, Deborah, what's going on? But the thing is, she judged Israel. So there was just a lot. There's a lot of amazing women in the Bible that we just have to hear their stories and understand. Even with Pharaoh, the midwife said, well, you know what? But by the time they give birth, they just giving birth so fast. And Pharaoh, I know Pharaoh was thinking, these ladies, they're not being straightforward. There's something not right what they're saying. He didn't even say, when you read it, he didn't even say anything. He was just quiet, like, oh,
Something right.
something right. But they just like, let's just go. But we're not going to disobey, because this is not right. Righteous indignation meant that they had to take a stand, right? So there was amazing, powerful women. So when it comes to biblical femininity is a powerful thing. If it's one that wars alongside, you got an equal helper.
Yeah.
You got an equal helper. You got real help, not the one that's like, I can't carry the hose. I can't. No, you got an equal helper, and somebody that is powerful, and not just that wisdom is compared to a woman, to one that is wise, full
Mm.
of conscience, and she's a life giver. She gives life to things that are around about her. She meant to give life. Look at the same 7 women that helped. They were all life givers. The midwives gave life. You
Yeah.
see, Moses' mother gave life. Miriam gave life. The Egyptian lady gave. All these people were life givers all along the way,
Yeah.
all of them. So in who we are made to be, if you think about it, all of them gave life. We give life today too. That's what we do. We give life. Women give life. Without women, even in leadership positions, you find there's a whole lot to manifest. But for what women are necessary in society, and women are really necessary because of the life-giving element, because we are smart, we are strong. You know what I'm saying? We are full of wisdom. Yeah,
Yeah.
we have a conscience. I'm not saying men don't. Men do have a conscience, but we have a conscience. There's a lot of aspects. We are intelligent. We
Mm-hmm.
are gorgeous. We are beautiful. To look upon, we are gorgeous, right? So it's like there's a lot of amazing qualities, even besides those, that we have, and we are equal opposites.
Yeah. That needs to just be screamed out a little bit, like everybody in the back, equal opposites,
Yeah,
Like, and
yeah,
I just love what you're saying, giving us this education, because it's like we just accept things, but it's like, well, that's what my grandmother told me. It's not
yeah,
necessarily, we accept things because we trust when someone tells us in religion, oh, this
yeah,
is how, but we have to do the unveiling, like you said, of the word, and really
Mhm.
look at what is really there, or ask questions about what we're not saying. I
Yeah.
think you were speaking of a woman in the Bible who was a shepherd, and it's like it never
Yes.
said that she was a
Uh-huh.
shepherd, but
Yeah.
because she's told the sheep to go do that, come on, she
Yeah.
got
She
to be a
tending a
shepherd.
whole flock of sheep and moving them around, giving them water. She was a
Yeah,
shepherd. Like,
yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think it's so important for us to, even calling women weaker. It's like that word ain't mean weak. You think they knew like what weak, it's like they're
Mhm.
saying we came from his rib, or like you're talking about, these words don't even exist, and
Yeah,
it's
the
like,
rib word. Yeah, the when we come from. It's like it was a word. It was side, and then I guess in biology, then some words like even when they spoke about guard your heart with all diligence. That the heart is what they use for a lot. That's why I said it was a mind. It was your will. It was all of it. They just because the heart stopped beating, they knew when it stopped. That they just attributed that to a lot of things, even your thinking. So you find some words. If you look at it ancient in the history of the Bible, then you see well, a lot of things are attributed to the heart because when it stopped,
yeah,
then certain things stop. There are
yeah,
times where even with some of the leaders, they would have to put things to guard their heart for the afterworld and stuff like that. They'll talk about,
yeah,
So yeah, they didn't know some of the words like for liver and kidney and even brain, it wasn't there yet.
yeah,
So rib was not necessarily, it was like a side. It was like, a side was removed. So I mean, there's just a lot of interesting, facts about things. That's why I said you have to really, really read. It's not to diminish women. Listen to me. My husband is an amazing, powerful man of God. I love him. So he's a powerful man of God, and I believe in male leadership. I believe in female leadership. Men are amazing. They protect, they give their lives. Like they stand strong, but I think, and they lead. They're powerful in what they do. They encourage us to, and we can,
yeah,
it's vice versa as well. I just think we were both meant to walk along with each other in a place of just walking with each other,
yeah,
to lead and walking with each other, in this planet Earth. And I just think what's happened with all this contesting back and forth, I think it's a lack of understanding. We have to be
yeah,
really careful, female women tearing down men, men tearing down women. I just
yeah,
think we just need to get understanding concerning each other. People talk about a lot of this toxic masculinity, this toxic femininity. These terms that's being thrown around. We got to be very, very careful because if you are in a place where you do not understand, or you're trying to subjugate one or the other to anything, there are times where that can be so extreme that we're denying what is femininity. We're denying like real masculinity. So we
yeah,
just have to be very, very careful about that. Because if not, we're just throwing darts and it's just a lack of wisdom. It
yeah.
really, really is. We just have to be wise, so on either side, we're very appreciative of what the other gender has to offer. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And we can get so much more done as an equal opposite, and not
Yeah.
only saying it, but from both sides viewing it is that way. We
Yeah.
can, like,
Exactly.
it's like, come on, like, there's certain things that I think across the board, men are like, women are better at this. And like, women are like, men are, so we won't talk about those little things that we
Uh-huh.
all agree on to start a
Uh-huh.
fight on the internet. But
Uh-huh.
it's like, from both sides
Hmm.
agreeing that you are my equal,
Yeah.
because if I walk up to you and I'm like, I'm your equal, I'm here, and you're like, hey, like
Yeah.
you're
Yeah.
here, then there is
Yeah.
a, so like,
Yeah, and
it's
we
good.
lead differently. We are different. So I'm not gonna try like if you're talking about you're equal, so I can lift up a 500. I have no desire to lift up a 500. Somebody has a desire to maybe another lady, but I think there's a lot going on the internet we can talk about. I'm serious, like even down to sports and somebody's listening. I'm just saying there's a lot of things, but I just that it goes back to just hinging it in love. We
Yeah,
gotta we gotta love. I think if we start with love, we're gonna end properly. We
yeah,
just got to start with love. It's going to help us reason through a lot of difficult topics. But if we start with hate, if we start with arguing, if we start with I just want to prove my own self to be right, we're never going to end up in a good place, period. We got to
yeah.
start with love and we just got to try to understand. If we just want to understand, it's going to help us a whole lot.
Yeah, yeah. And love is required to do all of the work that she spoke
Hmm.
about today, guys. You can't finish any of it without love. No, I'm just
Yeah.
um, no, but
Yeah.
yeah, I
Yeah.
really thought all of this was really, really awesome. It blessed me. Even it was information, I feel like we've spoken about before, but I got new insights, and I think like you depend on what you're going through in life, you talk about it again, and it hits you again. Yeah. So I'm
Yeah.
grateful. I know we had some questions earlier, but I think the gist of what she is so nice. People, I love y'all. Thank you. I've got so many friends on here like saying nice stuff, and um someone was asking about breaking up with her fears. She had a specific question. Are you still on here, P? Did you want to ask that again? I don't know if she's still on here, but she had to break away for something, but I saw her asking me. But is there anything you'd like to say, as far as just next steps and, after what someone heard today would, will be a good.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I mean, I do coaching. I coach not because I coach because it's a passion, it's a calling, it's something that I love to do, and I love to work with women and help women. So, I mean, you can go to if you look at my bio on Facebook, you're gonna see One Woman Movement. That's a number one, not ONE, but the number onewomanmovement.com. You'll see a link to it. I do group coaching. As a matter of fact, when I'm done here, I have a group coaching session coming up right after, and I do one-on-one coaching as well. So for those that are interested, hey, go on my website onewomanmovement.com, and you can go ahead and just take a look at it. There are ways to contact me on there as well. My name is Tanel Dickens. So yeah, just go on ahead and take a look at it and just reach out.
Yes, and don't be afraid to reach out. She is such a nice person. She is direct, but she is kind. She loves people. And I don't even mean nice because she'll get you together, but she loves people. So don't be afraid to reach out. And thank you, for being here. I'm figuring out what it is that what I want to put out on my platform, but I know that what we speak about, what we do, and I know that what you're doing with One Woman Movement, it truly is a movement, and the way that God has given you the wisdom and the way to articulate certain things, is just, it touches me, and I know you touch so many other people, so it means a lot that you came here today and shared your wisdom with us, truly, truly, because you dropped some nuggets, like Tree really did. This was a very, I felt like I was in a class. I'm like, wait, you stop talking. I'm like, oh, put my notebook down. I'm like, oh, I'm here to talk with her too.
Of
But
course, you.
I just really thank you. I think she left off. Someone
That's
said
okay.
this is great. Everyone was saying they love it. It blessed them. And thank you guys for being here with us. Truly, truly, truly,
Yeah.
truly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
thank you all so much. Thank you so much. And we prayed before. We were just like, Lord, just touch whoever
Yeah.
is on
Yeah.
here. I think that's the just like most important thing. Hey, we're here for you. You know, it's not about popularity. It's not about because people come on for different reasons. Really, honestly, I think it's about service. It's really about being able to serve people. There's people we want to get people to fulfill destiny. We want to get you to just walk in our purpose and destiny. Moving out of your places of fear and moving into places of flourishing. And I
Yeah.
think I think that's it. So yeah, if you're on here and you've been blessed by this, hey, listen to it again. Go on ahead and listen to it again, take some notes on it, and just be blessed by it. Let it soak in, and you begin to make those steps that you believe are really important for this season. I was talking to my spiritual father, right? I said, oh, asked him a couple questions, and he was like, "No, Jesus coming soon." I'm thinking, I know he's coming soon. He just, but he was like, come on now, you got to hurry up. He just said, Jesus coming soon. I'm like, good gracious, because he's a
Yes.
prophet. I'm thinking, where's the prophetic word? It's like 3 paragraphs long. So the thing is, but it is, it's like, I think it's just having that urgency, knowing that it's like respecting the clock and knowing that, what, while we're here, just make an impact. Do the best that you can. Don't let fear stop you from walking out what you know you're supposed to. Don't believe the lies. If that's not you, it just ain't you. It's not you to believe these lies about yourself. That is not who you are. I think it's just like Danielle. Danielle came up with the topic, breaking up with your fears. So it's like it's time for us to break up with our fears, and we might need to add another part to that and get married to our future. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Break up and get reunited, right? So I just think it's just time for us to do that so that we're really walking things out, because what you don't want to do is then look back and it's what, 5, 10 years from now, and you think, man, if I'd made that decision like 5 years ago, 10 years ago, I would be in a completely different place. But guess what? I did not. And
Yeah.
the cost of it is not time, it's your life.
Yeah.
It's not 10 years of just time, it's 10 years of your life.
Yeah.
That's a bigger consequence. It's bigger than just, I just missed the opportunity. Oh my goodness, I can just, no, it's like, I just used 10 years of my life that I will never get back. I can't reset that clock.
Yeah.
So today is the day you make that decision to say, you know what, even if it's a 15-minute change, I'm going to make that decision to move forward and do what I need to do,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's great. No, thank you. Yeah. So guys, I'll put in my story too if you didn't catch anything about how you can reach out to Tanel. I'll keep this live up as well so that people can reach out and message you as well. But I'll make an Instagram story with her info if you didn't get
Yeah.
it. But it's right on her Instagram. But yeah, I was blessed and I'm just grateful. People always ask me like, "Oh, how did you get in the industry?" I'm like, I served my way in.
Yeah.
I served, I mopped floors, I did this, so this feels fun, and it doesn't even, in my mind, I'm not like, let me get on here. So I'm just like, y'all, this stuff is good. My life is changing. Hey, you want to change it, And it's funny how these things work because it's like, like we got on here and bless who is supposed to bless, and you think what you think, and God will just show up and just kind of blow your mind. So.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And my good friend Jamal, he's a pastor. He's been on here with us. I feel like he's been pressing it. He's been that's him scolding my jive. But yeah, thank you so much today. I don't want to take up too much of your time. I know you
No
have a
problem.
class.
No problem at
Um,
all. Yeah. It was a
but yeah,
blessing.
guys.
Serving everybody is a blessing. Just being here, being able to speak to you. So I appreciate you all staying on. Thank you so much. Thank
Yes,
you.
thank you. Love you. Have a great class.
You too. Take care. Bye bye.
Okay, bye. Oh wait, you guys. Tanel left. Should I end it? Does anybody have any questions? First of all, I just want to say that was awesome. That was everything more than what I thought it was gonna be. I love you, Jamal. Y'all, we did it kind of like well, how we did it. It wasn't, it was like interview style, but she's really the expert. So I've been wanting to fix that for a second. She's the expert, so just let her, go and talk and stuff. So I wasn't ignoring your questions. I did see comments about stuff. I can come on another live. You guys want to, chat about that. So maybe we'll come back tomorrow because hey, thank you. Tomorrow the Zatima season 4 trailer is dropping too. As my sister Tina, I love you too. Thank you, Jamal. We're gonna have to get on here and have a conversation about the man. What you think? What you think? Jamal, you available? But no, just thank y'all for being on here. This is new for me to do stuff like this. I do lives for like BET and Zatima and stuff like that. But this is really, really me just sharing what's changing my life and what I'm into. And I'm really a little Jesus freak, If you know me, you know that about me. And so I just love basking in, what God has for me. So look at Jamal, he says set the date. So it was not fearful for me to get on here today, but you sometimes you just kind of like, oh, does anybody want to hear this? But I think that I know that the information given was so good, so life changing, so useful that I just kind of got out of my head and I forget that this is my platform, and as much as I love all of the amazing shows and platforms and BET and All Black and Amazon and Hulu and all those things and Tubi, like, but this is who I am. I'm really a girl from Baton Rouge who loved Jesus and I'm on TV and I have a son. So I'm doing something for myself and I'm starting to do more of just sharing and being authentic and just letting you guys into, I'm not necessarily a social media person like that. I don't get on here and show a lot of my life. I probably because I've been doing my thing since before social media. And I don't mean like my thing. Like I mean like this is still kind of new to me. I know some of us can't remember before social media existed, but for me, this is a new way of the world, and I'm still a little old school. So, thank you, Jamal. Um, yeah, just me getting on here talking to y'all. Thank you, Sandra. Thank you. I love you. Thank you. Yes, that's all. It was to bless somebody. So I love y'all. I'm proud of you. Feel free to DM me or message me. I'm not gonna make this video go away. Hey, Angela. I'm not gonna make this video go away. I'm gonna keep it on my page so that you can go back and reference it and share it. I'll probably chop it up and take out some important parts, reshare it for you guys, or something that you can share with a friend if they want to catch up. Because we're gonna do the next part of the series, which will be part 2. But I'm gonna give you about 3 days to soak all this up, and we just, want to do the first one and just kind of see how it went. And it went well. Y'all were so awesome and supportive, and yeah. Oh, Sandra said this is her first time finding me. Oh, let's see, can I follow you from here? Okay, I'm gonna follow you. I don't, maybe Sandra, forgive me, but I don't know if there's a way to follow a person while I'm on here, but I will follow you when I get off of here. That means a lot to me. That she said she took a lot of those in part. Yes, that was the goal. Amen. Like literally, if we just got on here today just to bless you, Sandra, it was what it was supposed to be. It means a lot. And I'm gonna follow you back and hopefully we can be sisters in Christ. But thank you guys. I love you. I have to get out of here. I gotta do some more stuff this evening. But this was good and I got over my little fears of getting on here and doing stuff that's not, related to what I usually do. So I love y'all. I'm gonna get out of here.